Oh, James White. Okay, I don't care about James White. I'm going to talk about James White here in a minute and all his sassy lisp. I think James White has his bow tie is on a little too tight. I don't know if he wears his bow tie a little too tight because it's cutting off the circulation and it might be causing a little bit of this lisp that he's got. That's just so damn sassy. He's just got the sassiest little lisp. Ooh. Are you guys noticing that sassy little lisp? Anyway, look, I would rather be in the circles of and writing for Sam Hyde any day of the week than in the circles of that goblin, that damn sassy ass goblin James White and his demon cult. So let's get over here to that because I guess it's time to to mention this. So not Sam Hyde, James White, as we said, was not interested in any kind of debate for the last 7 years. I remember trying to get a debate with him, argued with him on Twitter. I tweeted at him years ago, 2017, 18, somewhere in there. And his answer was, I don't have time for Orthodox stuff. I don't care about understanding or studying Orthodox stuff, and I'm not interested in debating any Orthodox people. So that was his stance for 6-7 years. And I specifically asked I said, let's debate essence energy distinction. Let's debate filioque and your Trinity. And your ADS doctrine, because he has a goofy ADS view, by the way. And not interested. So he commented on me once in one of his videos like 5 years ago. So he knows who I am. But in his comment, he's like, is this the Jay Dyer? Is this the Jay Dyer? As if he doesn't know like which one I am. So here's my comments on this whole stuff when it happened that day. I'm just going to play this because I'm super tired. And you can hear what I said. And then we'll go to some of his toxic masculinity comments where he's showing his masculine prowess with the lispiest lisp you've ever heard in your life. Is this going to play? Why is this not playing? Maybe this doesn't play if I've got all this audio stuff going. I just thought the first part about the sassy pants stuff was funny. Now, the reason I'm playing this is because as all this was happening, he was on Twitter tweeting at me. And I unblocked him for the time being. I didn't block him because he mentioned me. I blocked him years ago when he was just on a heretical roll way long ago, like 6 years ago. So he's always been blocked. I wanted nothing to do with that dude. And when everybody started messaging, James White's talking about you, James White's like I care. And I'm like, what did he say? Okay, so he says, we're going to read it in a second, but I want to play this comment first because this is funny. Is there no sound on this thing?
I attend to a Calvinism.
Oh, here we go. I don't know why it's not wanting to play on. Maybe I can find the timestamp here.
Hop on a damn.
Here we go.
If he's down there,
So here are my thoughts on James White. I got to go to 2 minutes to like 3 minutes in here. Let's see if we can do that.
he's over there on. The flashy, sassy new drama.
Right, welcome. Hope everybody's having fun.
From the internet's hottest little bow tie wearer. I'm talking about that predestined, a Sunni, occasionalist, Calvinist Muslim man, James White. and his little cute little list that he's got. He's just so in a tizzy today. He's just sassy today. Something got up under him and got him all sassed. I don't know what it is, but if we're going to go to Romans 9, honey child, he's our man. He can exegete that perfectly with that diploma mill degree that he got down in South Africa down there with his little Ubuntu friends that he's got. I wonder what they get up to down there with that little lisp he's got. And there's no telling. Or maybe he did it. Maybe he did his diploma mill degree online. I think they have extension courses up there for little James, wherever he's located inside his little RV. They might be over here in New Orleans right now if it's Mardi Gras time. I'm over here about 50 miles outside of New Orleans. I could just run over there and find James if he's over there down in the French quarters. If he's down there exegeting Romans 9 for some of the men's over there in the French quarters. But listen, I'll tell you one thing, honey, you ain't gonna find a better Cosby sweater anywhere in the damn U.S. than down there in that French Quarter. Some of them women's down there that does the tarot readings, the tarot cards, honey, them tarot readers will sew you a Cosby sweater like Joseph's Technicolor Dreamcoat, honey, out of the Book of Genesis, honey. And that's what James White's all about. I hope James White's will come over here and I can just talk to him a little bit. But he's got that cute little, honey, have you ever seen that little Colonel Sanders goatee he's got? And it just makes me think all them chickens that Biden had just killed, all 150 billion of them. Honey, if I was thinking like James White and that Colonel Sanders predestination mindset, they was destined for it, honey. All 150 millions of them. But let's see, maybe he'll come in here and tell us about Romans 9. Romans 9. I'm just joking, being silly. I'm poisoning the well. Oh, wait. If I poison the well, it's unchristlike. When James White poisons the well, it's boomer wisdom. I don't know what he was trying to say. He doesn't debate a person with a green profile picture. Wow, these are good reasons. Now, for years, here's the backstory. We messaged James White to do debates on the essence energy distinction, on absolute divine simplicity, filioque way, all of that stuff. And for years, he said,
Yeah, so there's that. And here's my thought is since, well, we got to read the full quote first before we get into the whole lore of the RV. I mean, this was just too funny. He says, it's amazing, like the out of touch of this kind of a it's like he might even be like elder Gen X, but he's full boomer, dude. Like there's no, this dude is full boomer. I'm gonna read it in the James White voice too. Serious inquiry. I'm assuming this is the Jay Dyer, who has been in numerous religious movements, but most recently, anyway, Orthodoxy. Now, keep in mind, James White is not in an actual church. He's an independent Baptist with a parachurch ministry. And of course, all independent Baptists are all lay people anyway, who are self-ordained. I have to admit, this graphic is troubling. So the first thing that he went for was my background graphic. What? I mean, it's just odd. I mean, of all the things. And the background graphic was made by my friend who is a professional cinematographer for literally like the biggest people in Hollywood. Not joking. And if you look closely, it's got a lot of lore in it. So there's all kinds of lore of my channel, my books, all the various subjects that we covered. There's like Klaus and people over there. There's, comedy and movies over here. And, there's a lot of symbolism in it, which he has no idea what any of that is. Not that I would even expect him to. But it's just funny that like just how out of touch and no idea what's going on. And he says, he has me blocked. I find it hard to take him seriously. Well, I wrote that I am a comedian. So thank you for not taking me too seriously. And you'll notice that Calvinists, by the way, all Calvinists care about is being taken seriously. They take themselves so seriously. All they care about is being seen as scholarly and being seen as intellectuals, because that's all Calvinism is. It's a religion of worship of the intellect. And I mean, because the deity of Calvinism is the same deity of Islam, who is a direct cause of every event, even of the secondary causes. So they might as well be occasionalists. They might as well be worshiping Allah. And essentially, as I'm told, at least Sam Shamoon points out, that James White is really friendly with his Muslim friends. And that might be because they have much more in common than anything to do with Christianity. His description is troubling. Comedian and host of AJ. Well, it's hard for older folks to take that seriously. I don't care. Why would you take a comedian's post seriously anyway? So even that phrase itself, it's hard for me to take a comedian seriously. It's like, is he writing bad jokes? Like, does he not understand why that phrase itself is stupid? I have responded to Mr. Dyer in years past. Okay, well then you're aware of who I am, and the first sentence doesn't make any sense. Is this the J. Dyer? Well, I thought you were aware of me from the past, so wouldn't you know? His attacks on scriptural sufficiency. I would like to arrange an in-person debate on the Seventh Ecumenical Council. I mean, we asked for many times, emails. We even sent to the adjacent James White people like Dirtbin, whatever his name is, and the response was 1 year out, maybe. Well, I wanted to debate the Trinity, essence, energy distinction, ADS, these doctrines that Calvinists, to my knowledge, have never addressed. Have you ever heard a Calvinist address the same challenges that I would make to a Roman Catholic, a Thomist, and Augustinian? Has a Calvinist ever addressed it? No, they don't. And I think that given James White's previous admissions of not being aware of Orthodox theology, he knows full well that he wants to steer clear of that. And so during all of this nonsense, by the way, let's finish this. He says, my first question will be location. I don't have any idea where he lives. Well, I'm not telling you where I live. You don't need to know where I live. You're the last person I want to know where I'm located. It would make it easy to engage in a debate. I'm not dumb, not falling for your traps. You're the first kind of person that would dox somebody. The earliest time frame I would have would be late November. So basically a year out. And then he goes on to talking about Orthodox nasty grams. Now, notice how like passive aggressive and bad faith this is. He could have sent me an email if he wanted to arrange a debate. No, he just wanted to drum up some attention and get clicks and whatnot. Why? I'm going to tell you why. And that's the key point that's what the real story of all this is. And it goes back to the Redeemed Zoomer debate is part of the whole story of this. Now, he wants an in-person debate. This is the funniest part of it. I only travel via RV. Which I just thought was funny. Like, this just pure boomer, comedy value, right? So, I thought that made it right for not just joking about the list. Because, notice, he wants to throw underhanded jabs at me. I've been in multiple religious movements. Well, don't you think probably most of the younger audience that you interact with have been in numerous religious movements in their lives? And isn't that kind of common now in our age? I think it is. But the internet is not very friendly to Calvinism. In other words, just like Islam, the internet is not being a very good friend to Calvinism. Especially when people who have been in Calvinism and in Catholicism, like myself, know those positions very well from the inside out. I went to Bonson Seminary, and I studied Bonson stuff. I don't tout that because it's not an accredited seminary. But now, keep that accreditation point in mind, because we're going to see some funny things that the Catholics noted about Dr. James White here in a moment. So I just pointed out you only travel in an RV, and my background graphic is what you found troubling. It's just okay, Boomer. I will only engage you if you wear your Cosby sweater and if you can get your lisp under control. I have a strict policy of not debating anyone with a metrosexual lisp. And you have one of the worst. And so if you can get that under control, I might think about debating you on the topics that I suggested years ago. But by the way, I thought this was AI is great for this kind of stuff. So after all this comment about his RV traveling, it's like the most boomer thing ever. Dr. James White be like, build me an army worthy of me. Right, like Sauron or something, right? We got so this is the perfect Calvinist Technicolor Dreamcoat Lisp army right here. I thought that was some fun AI work. And I think he made one more comment. I don't know where it is, but his other comment was something like, why would I respond to a person with a green profile picture? So of all the things that, again, he was looking for, my PFP being green, that was the thing. Like, I can't debate a person with a green PFP. Solid reasons. Solid reasons. Solid argumentation. Solid wisdom from Dr. James White. Now, I remember reading James White's book, which, by the way, has still, I don't know if he's fixed it or not, but back in 1999, around 98, 99, I bought Forgotten Trinity, and I've covered this before. I don't know if he knows. I don't think he does, because he doesn't know Trinitarian theology. He actually has like 2 or 3 heterodox statements about the Trinity in his Forgotten Trinity book. So he might want to look into that and fix those. But I don't think he's going to be able to fix it with his heterodox Latin Augustinian Trinitarian model anyway. And he knows good and well he wouldn't last 5 minutes in a debate on divine simplicity or the energies or any of that topic, filioque, because for him it's necessary to switch it over into debating a year out in an RV where he can travel to a location. And I said, look, dude, we do debates all the time, open forum, okay? So he's tweeting back and forth with me. He's got time. He's not busy. And I'm going to show you that he wasn't busy because he went and made an hour-long video when I was asking him to just come chat. Now, if you've been debating Calvinism for 30 damn years, why do you need a year prep anyway? I don't need a year prep. I've never needed a year's prep for a debate. The most prep we had was about 6 months for the Jake debate because I was waiting for that stupid Ibn Taymiyyah translation to come out. It had nothing to do with not wanting to debate Jake, right? But notice this. So while we were debating, I just sent him the link right here. Hey, you're debating on Twitter about my profile and my character and the superiority of your boomer RV lifestyle. And I said, stop whining and bitching about you can dish out insults and jabs, but you can't take them back when it comes back at you. His bio is just weird. He has a green face cartoon background. Now, he wouldn't come to the space. So you got time to make, what does he do during all this? Literally during this, he goes and makes an hour-long video. You could have just hopped in the space. Why do you need a year to talk about, even if it was the Seventh Ecumenical Council? I could have talked to you about that right now. We could have talked about any of these topics. So, and you're going to say, well, but he deserves a formal debate. Now, wait a minute. Why do I have to immediately cater to his demands? I mean, my channel has grown bigger than his. I'm not looking up to try to get attention and clicks from James White, who has, I don't know, 40,000 fewer followers than we do over here. So I'm supposed to just cave to his demands about a boomer RV driving. Like, he's going to drive in his RV only if it's close enough. He's probably just looking for where I live. Who knows why? In which I'm not going to tell him where I live. He doesn't need to know that. Nobody in this day and age, except for a couple people, when it's a high profile person that does it, it's just not worth in-person debates. You can have a online moderated debate, and it shouldn't be a year out. So if he's able to demand and give terms, why can't I demand and give terms? And my terms were, come on my X space instead of yapping and whining and bitching in all of your Twitter comments. But again, remember, I know the world of Calvinism. I know how these people think. I know the whole thing. Calvinists thrive on this. They thrive on this kind of stuff because the religion is empty. The religion is a God who creates babies to torment. It's insane. It's a religion of hate, essentially. And so if you wonder why he's known for being a humorless weirdo, allow me to explain via his own comments.
Seminary, I'm not sure.
And I'm really glad this went viral because I think this signifies the latter stages of James White era, right? James White was at the height of his time in the 2000s. And he had Turretin Fan. He had his little malformed minions that tried to debate for him. And we saw what happened when Turretin Fan tried to debate Sam Shamoon. It was an absolute massacre. Maybe, a few months ago? A year ago? And so it's not looking good for the Calvinists online. Now, getting to my point about Redeemed Zoomer, why does James White suddenly care about what I talk about? He hasn't cared about me for 6 years, even though I have asked for debates in the past. Well, we all know that Redeemed Zoomer collapsed in our debate. And he's still mad about that debate. So we're, I don't know, over a year out from Redeemed Zoomer debate. And the Redeemed Zoomer debate across multiple platforms has probably 200,000 to 300,000 views. Okay, so this was the rising young star of Calvinism. And it did not go well for him. In fact, it went so bad that he shut down his Discord because he said he had too many people becoming Orthodox and he didn't want his Discord to be a mechanism for people converting to Orthodoxy. Right? And then he says, not too long after that, he says, I'm retiring from apologetics. I'm going to quit. And he had a meltdown after this. After a debate with me with mild pushback, it was a civil discussion. I wasn't mean to him. Do you know what he did immediately after the debate? He went on Twitter and whined and cried that I was mean to him. I'm not joking. He later retracted that and said, okay, no, I just wasn't prepared. It was supposed to not be a debate. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't really see a big difference between what we had as a discussion and a informal debate. Essentially the same thing. Kyle wasn't really a moderator. He was just sort of facilitating a conversation. But people cannot handle pushback, especially from Gen Z. And people have they've been noticing this. There's a whole conversation on Twitter today about this. Like Gen Z people just, like, they think that if they get any pushback, they scream and cry and think that you hate them. It's really weird. So they don't have the capability of dealing with good faith disagreements and exchanges. Everything is just hyper extreme emotionalism. But just on these two channels here. There's other channels. There's other channels with 30, 50, 60,000 views. So there's 300,000 views on this debate on Calvinism, which universally the comments are 99% that RZ was just demolished. And this is what led him to a year of angry tweeting about orthodoxy and retiring from doing apologetics. So we helped to retire Redeemed Zoomer. And it's not all about being mean and all this stuff. Like, Calvinism is a serious error. It's a serious heresy. And the people who have locked themselves into it and double down and double down and double down become like their deity. It is not bad or wrong to strongly oppose and even mock these heresiarchs. James White is one of the foremost heresiarchs of our day. He is a new Nestorius. And you can guarantee it, if any church father were present, he would be called the new Nestorius. And if you doubt me on that, let's take a look at what James White says about the actual bishops and saints of the early church. This will help you understand the level of just garbage that this person is. This is one of the most arrogant, disgusting people of our day. And I'm going to show you that that's the case. And this is great because
if we have
these kinds of, I mean, he just looks like a little, he looks like a little munchkin, like a little, like who's the Lucky Charms dude? Like if the Lucky Charms dude were mixed with Colonel Sanders, you would get out of that union between the two, if they had a love child, you would get James White. He looks like a little munchkin, Lucky Charms, you know, give me gold.
90 seconds here.
Give me predestined gold, right? But I'm going to show you that James White is not a good faith debater. He's not a serious person. Yes, the comedian man is going to demonstrate to you, this is the irony, that James White is the real comedian, the real world clown. And this went viral. It may be up to 300,000. I didn't even, there's other clips as well of this debate, whoever this, I think this guy's Catholic here, where when James White encounters problematic material for his position, suddenly, like the Muslims, he becomes a higher critical textual scholar.
But two things. If we have what Ignatius wrote there, since I was in seminary, and I'm not sure if you're aware of this, over the past 25 years, there has been a tremendous amount of skepticism, scholarly skepticism. Okay, let's make sure we don't. There we go. The light came back on. There has been a tremendous amount of scholarly skepticism expressed as to whether Ignatius even existed and which letters are actually, because there's a Latin and there's a shorter and I was not taught that, but I'm sort of catching up with it.
That sassy little list. Where's that sassy little list coming from? Just something lit a fire under him today, and he was just on it, honey. Sassing with that little bow tie.
Ignatius and Austin, people like that are taking a view, but it is a fringe view in Scotland.
I hope it's becoming the central view. I hope Ignatius.
So it's the central view from the liberal higher critics that just maybe he just didn't even, he wasn't even a thing, honey. He just wasn't even a thing. Now, I again know the mind of Calvinists, and the best way to deal with Calvinists is to not take them seriously. Because the one thing a Calvinist wants more than anything is to be taken intellectually serious. And to make fun of these people as they should be made fun of, because James White's the actual clown here. They eventually reveal themselves. And let's see how many how many views does this thing have? What I'm getting at, long story short, this is the end of Calvinism. The internet is the end of Calvinism. Just like it's becoming the bane of Islam. Islam could only thrive when people didn't have access to real significant challenges to the position, real competent people who could debate this. So look at this. 200 and this is 250,000 views just on this Tradcat profile. And if you search this clip, it's all over many channels. And it's going to be all over many more channels. And if you remember the Trent Horn debate, James White lost the Trent Horn debate. James White lost so bad that he actually just had to resort to saying, well, the papacy is blessing, Skittles unions, which, James, with that lisp, you would do well in Rome. Maybe you should think about converting to Rome after all these years. If they're blessing gay unions, it might be up your alley. So the best thing to do with Calvinists is to actually not take them seriously. And no, I would never be even in the same room as James White. I think this person is just absolutely disgusting. Now, he said all the same stuff about me, so it's fine. I don't even care. I actually think it's funny that this guy is so troubled and miserable. And that Calvinism will make you miserable, just as miserable as radical trad Thomism will make you miserable. He's miserable because it's a religion of dead works, the very thing that they're always talking about everyone else. It's a religion of weird Phariseeism. It's more akin to Islam. And it might, who knows? Maybe we'll see James White become Muslim in a few years. I mean, he likes to buddy up to the creeper Muslims, so maybe that's where he's going to go. Now, one last thing about James White before we move on. And this is what the Catholics have been saying about James White for a while. And by the way, if you're looking for a theological refutation, we've already done that. Many people have called into question his degree. One of whom is the Catholic writer Dave Armstrong. And Dave Armstrong is the chief critic in this regard in terms of White's questionable seminary. I will give you the link right here. You can go read what Dave Armstrong says. There's so many pop-ups on his freaking blog that I can't even open these pages. All right, so he says, I stated all this controversy about anti-Catholic Baptist apologist James White's doctorate, but it has been pointed out by several folks that if a person hasn't really earned their doctorate degree with the usual amount of work required in most legitimate institutions of higher learning, this in effect cheapens the achievements of those with real degrees. And so it's a question of him boosting his own so-called credentials. And of all people, Mormons did a deep dive, I guess, into his background because he makes a lot of arguments against Mormons. And Dave Armstrong says, we don't want to commit the genetic fallacy. He says that White claims to have earned a degree, a THD, a scholarly historical information exchange for Latter-day Saints page has says that does White have a genuine doctorate? It links to James White's defense of himself. And the first point is that this degree, I found the web archive pages. This is I think it's it looks like an online thing. Maybe they had a building at some point, but this, you have to go back in the Wayback Machine because this doesn't exist. But it was called Columbia Evangelical. And who is the quoted promoter on the first page? Why, it's James White. So the endorsement for the online degree that is not accredited is James White himself, who gives it a full endorsement. And then there's a bunch of other expert PhD evangelical goofballs on here. Now, on one level, I don't care about this stuff, which is why I don't talk about, there's not really any point in higher education anyway these days. But because this is an older Gen X boomer era person, for those people and their mindset, this really matters. And you are not a scholar if you do not have the proper credentials. We're moving into a world where that doesn't matter. It already doesn't matter, and nobody else is going to care about that. And when these people pass away, which probably won't be much longer because probably a lot of these people are normies about medicine, it sure as hell won't matter. So you can go read Dave Armstrong's questioning of the background of the man who literally says in the debate, current scholars say Ignatius might not have existed. Oh, you mean like current scholars who say that the Bible's a bunch of fantasies and myths? Those current scholars? Oh, you mean like the current scholars that Muslims point to, like Bart Ehrman, that you reject when it's a debate with a Muslim, but now you use them when Ignatius is a problem for your Baptist theology? The reason Calvinism is dying and your ministry is fading, James White, is because it's not true. It's because the Baptist faith is not the faith of Christians of the first millennium. And we all know that. That's why. It's because you're wrong. That's why Calvinism is not doing well on the internet, James. That's why. And I do not respect James White or any of these people. And I don't because that game is not going to work with me. These people are not respectful people. They don't respect me. They're not going to respect anyone of our ilk. And I'm not a young man anymore. You're not going to pull rank on me as if I'm supposed to respect your made-up Baptist ordination and whatever this is, Universal Life Church degree. And I don't care about your degrees anyway. Because accreditation ultimately, even that doesn't matter. I mean, it matters to the boomer mindset because they think there's some authority behind that. But accreditation is a state thing anyway. And so the irony is that he was looking for accreditation for this, whatever this thing is, when the boomer mindset that he has is locked into a system that they don't even realize doesn't matter anymore. They're legacy boomer people that are not in touch. And that's why when he came to my profile, it's all Chinese to him. It's like he doesn't, it's no idea. You guys have been really generous tonight. Appreciate that. We got some really fat super chats. Jordan Flores, $20. Do you ever dabble in Cosby sweater dark arts? You mean the feeble fobble deeble dobble? Some of that feeble fobble dizzle dazzle? You bet I do, baby. Jordan Flores, $100. What is your epistemic justification for a gay lisp and a Cosby sweater? It's the feeble fobble zeeble zobble. That's what it is. Jordan Flores, another $100. Latch. And then he has a milk with a chicken. Chicken milk latch. I don't know what that means, but I like it. Groove Monster, 1992, $10. Here's another book recommendation. Beberg People, Elite Power and Consensus by Ian Richardson. Ooh, that's, well, if it's a Rutledge, then it's an academic publication, so I do want to get that. Because as you guys know, contrary to boomers who like to laugh at Lord Voldemort, what we do on my channel is actually cover elite establishment books and documents. And that's why what we do is way more powerful than any of the con Inc., con people, scam people. You think these people read books? They don't read books. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that pudding pop Calvinism, baby. I'm talking about that 5-point pudding pop. I'm talking about 5-pop Calvinism right there. Feeble, fobble, zeeble, zobble. That's what I'm talking about. Now, if you're looking for a theological critique of this sassy pants man over here, a little sassy. If y'all want to get a little sassy with him, you can come over to my members page, or excuse me, my posts. Come over here to the posts right here. And 3-4 years ago, over 60,000 views. We refuted James White back then about Cosby sweater Calvinism in this open forum. It was a lot of fun. 4-hour stream back here. So you can go make use of that if you're looking for some more sassy pants refutations. And what is this over here? Oh yeah, then there's other people critiquing him about his claims about himself. Whatever. I don't care about him. I'm not even going to be interacting with this person ever. I mean, what is Scripture says, reject a heretic after the first and second admonition. So there you go. Jay, read your super chats. I am reading super chats. I just read like several of them. Let's see. Demon Nut. Demon Nut. $2. Debate vegan gains. Let him join on veganism. I love you. You're hot. But Protestantism is going to the lake of lava. Well, I hope you're not a dude calling me hot, because that's a little weird. Okay, you need to maybe get over there in the Alpha Omega Ministries chat if you're going to be doing that kind of lispy stuff. You in the wrong chat, son. No, I will always forever just make fun of these people like James White. I'm not going to have a actual 1 year out RV meetup. An RV meetup with James White. Or you must be joking. Now we got 2 different lists of super chats, so just relax. I'm gonna do them. Jordan Flores sends another $100. Well, y'all being so generous, thank you. Jordan Flores is gonna take the record. I think the record is like $400 or $500 super chat, but Jordan Flores is already 300 deep, killing it. He says, "Jay, I missed you. We missed you too. No Skittles." I didn't think it was Skittles, dog, but I appreciate that. Y'all being too generous. We got Turpentine Cat. He's on new member. Jenna Ferguson, Chad Nerd members. What's up? Shout out to you guys. So we already debated Vegan Gains. No. I noticed that like Vegan Gains' last live streams or premieres, he had like 60 people in there. Okay, nobody cares about veganism. Just like nobody cares about Calvinism, and even fewer people will care about Calvinism in 5 years. We will continue to convert people to Orthodoxy, and this dumb sect will die out on its own. And he can go drive off into the sunset in his RV. No, we don't have to. You don't even have to do these engagements. Like, it's not even necessary. You understand that Calvinism is collapsing itself, just like Islam is not doing well on the internet. And I've already debated Vegan Gains. Why do I need to do the same debate over? Do you think Vegan Gains is going to do any better than the same debate we already did? He's just looking for attention and some way to get people on his dumbass death diet channel. We already debated Vegan Gains. See, a lot of the boomer Gen Z types, they don't realize that the rest of the internet world doesn't care about the things that their era cared about. They don't care about the degrees. They don't care about your boring, shitty books. Look, 51,000 views. We already debated Vegan Gains. And this is one of the most laughable clown troop debates that we've ever had. No, there's no need to do this same discussion over again. Who's going crazy? What are you guys even talking about? I would love to debate Paul Washer and outcry him. But I don't think Paul Washer, I've never seen him do a debate. In fact, the one time that he welcomed a debate, he threw me out for asking the questions that he said you could do. So I asked him questions about tradition and the canon, and he had me physically escorted with 2 redneck dudes out of the church. So that's the kind of people that's how fragile these people are, dude. Look, I'm the kind of person that if somebody challenged me in a setting like that and we got into a debate, I'm going to debate you. I'm not going to have 2 fat redneck dudes physically remove you. I mean, unless you're acting crazy. But I wasn't acting crazy. I just asked him questions, which he welcomed. Paul Washer was like, "Friends, I want to invite any of you. If you think you can grab that Bible over there, and if you think you can question me from that Bible over there on that stand, friends, I welcome it, because I want to be corrected by the Word of God. And by gosh golly, I will cry on cue at 23 minutes and 43 seconds every sermon I do, because it's the Spirit of God moving me." These people are ridiculous. Like, actually starting to think that there's the Calvinist people and their leaders, there's something wrong with them. Like, they're messed up. Something's wrong. I mean, they're like, "Yes, God creates babies to torment them. That is our sovereign Lord. We love him." I mean, they're like proto-Satanists. So why would a proto-almost Satanist not be a scammer? Now, speaking of proto-Satanist or actual Satanist church scammers, other parachurch ministers have been in the news this week with some pretty mind-blowing stuff. By the way, I was happy to see Tim Gordon admit JP2 was a feminist. Now, wait a minute. I thought feminism is the cancer of Western civilization. It's an attack on the patriarchy. But doesn't your church dogmatically think he's a saint? How is a saint a promoter of the cancer and destruction of Western civilization? Okay, at what point do we just realize, okay, Rome lost the faith? Like, that's not hard to figure out. By the way, this is James White in his RV on his way to your town. 1 year out. You've got 1 year. You better lock up your Cosby sweaters, and you better wear some glasses, because the spit flying off of that lisp, I mean, I'm not going to say, but I've heard the spit coming off of that lisp. It's kind of like xenomorph fluids. You don't want that in your eye. So be sure and wear your sunglasses when the RV rolls into town. Now, where is this crazy story of this megachurch man